Hello, my name is Anuska and welcome to my channel. Now, on this week's video, I'm going to talk about this idea of confidence and what I like to call true confidence versus fake confidence. What is the difference and why does it matter? So this is something that I hear so frequently, a huge reason why clients seek me out, why clients work with me, why they inquire about working with me, because they want to feel and sound more confident when they speak. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I have quite a unique approach in terms of how I help clients. It's not your kind of mainstream kind of pop psychology. So I hope this is going to be insightful and useful for you in terms of helping you to understand where you're at with this whole idea of confidence. So the word confidence comes from the Latin fidere, which means to trust. And we get words like fidelity from this word. Now, for me, this is so important because what is actually at the root of confidence is a deep trust in oneself, a deep knowing that you can handle whatever life throws at you. And what is really important about this is what we're saying is first and foremost, it's about a connection to self versus anything out there. It's not in a course, it's not in a house, it's not in money, it's not in a relationship. It starts with us. And that's what all my work is about. Now, I think what many people think of as confidence, whether they are aware of this or not, is it's something outside of myself. So if I can just do that degree, if I can just get that training program done, if I can just read a couple more books, if I can just get more money, if I can just buy that house, buy that car, get that relationship, whatever it is for you, then I will feel more confident. And when I feel more confident, then I'll do the thing. Then I'll stand on stage and speak at TEDx. Then I will pitch to investors. Then I will go for that crazy promotion at work. Then I will launch my business. Then I will start to run a podcast, whatever it is for you. But we're putting the cart before the horse because we're saying that our power is outside of us. It's in something external to me, and I have to get that thing first before I will feel confident. The truth is, when you come from this place, this is an ego place, so it's all about lack and limitation. Nothing will ever be enough. No amount of money, no relationship, no training, no degree, no books, no nothing, because you're giving your power away. And it's so prevalent in our society. I have certainly myself been caught up in this kind of hamster wheel. If I just do another course, then I'll feel good about myself. But you don't feel good about yourself because it was never about the course in the first place. And actually, it just exacerbates that feeling of lack and limitation. And I kind of use the analogy of the leaky bucket. It's like you're trying to fill a leaky bucket with water and the water just keeps coming out, coming out, coming out. And then you think, okay, well, if I just do something else, if I just do another course, if I not just do this, if I just do that, and it's not actually resolving the issue. Because when we come from ego, we never feel good enough and we will never feel ready. Now, I just want to say, before I continue, I'm not saying that training, development, education, reading is not important. It absolutely is important. I mean, I wouldn't have a business if I didn't think training was important, and I do. And I'm a lifelong learner and I love reading and I love learning. But what I'm saying is we have to put it in its right place. It's the icing on the cake. It's not the cake. We are the cake. And so when we work on the inner work first, then all that training and development or whatever it is we're doing actually becomes so much more powerful and so much more effective. And that's why I do incorporate in my voice coaching both the voice training side, the kind of let's say the practical side, with the inner work, the deeper work. Now, what happens when we do seek our validation outside of ourselves to give us that confidence? So we think, okay, well, I'm going to do that course and then I'll feel confident and then I'll go for the promotion, as an example. Well, all that happens is the goalpost just moves. So you do the course, you still haven't really resolved what's going on internally. So then you still feel a sense of lack, you still feel you're not good enough, etc., etc. And then you think, okay, well, I just need to do another course. And this is where it's just this never-ending cycle of nothing is ever enough. You never feel ready and you never feel good enough. And it makes sense because it was never actually really about the course. We think it was about the course. We think it was about the workshop. If I just do that, then I'll feel ready. But it's not. It's coming from that internal place. The ego loves it when we do this because it keeps us stuck in the status quo. So when we make it about something external to us, nothing will ever be enough. So it keeps us then on this hamster wheel, and it actually wants us to be on this hamster wheel because then we'll never do anything, because the ego is all about safety, security, and the status quo. So how can I keep Anushka here? I don't want her standing on stage and singing. I don't want her doing videos. I don't want her doing this. I don't want her doing that. So if I just get her stuck in this loop of, if I just keep doing this, if I just keep doing that, then I don't actually take any action and I don't do anything. Or if I do something, I dip my toe in the water and I'm like, oh no, not doing that. And then I run back. But either way, the ego gets us back to the status quo. And that's where it wants us to be, because that's where it feels safe. So it's not to beat ourselves up about this kind of fake confidence, but it's understanding where it's coming from and why it's actually never going to fulfill you. Because this fake confidence will never actually feel secure. We will never feel fulfilled. We're always going to feel like there's some kind of lack there. And most likely we'll probably feel quite anxious in the process, whether we're conscious of that or not. Now, interestingly, and again, this is part of my work as well with the Jungian psychology, is when we are identifying with the ego to try and build our confidence, all that ends up happening is we have to build a bigger persona, a persona of success, a persona of being the professional. So for example, I'm just gonna, get loads and loads of qualifications. I'm going to talk the talk. I'm going to do my videos and look super, super enthusiastic. But internally, I feel like a complete fraud. Internally, I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel really insecure. I feel really unworthy. And this is this whole idea of imposter syndrome, which is driven by the ego, because by definition, the ego doesn't feel good enough. So we have to find a deeper place to connect to. And when we build this persona, unbeknown to us, this persona of success, this persona of professionalism, or I'm educated, or I talk the talk, then the opposite just goes into our shadow. And we have to use a lot of energy to uphold this persona and push away this shadow. And that's when people can end up getting very sick or run down or depressed or very anxious, because it takes a lot of energy to push the shadow away and to uphold this persona. It's exhausting. And I hear that a lot from clients as well. They feel exhausted when they're in this kind of treadmill of, I've got to just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep doing. So if I just do the next thing, then I'll feel confident, then I'll feel ready. You're probably wanting to know, well, what is the alternative? How do I find this true confidence? So first of all, I want to say it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight, particularly if we've identified with our ego for our whole life and as being who we are. And it's just going to take a little bit of time, but even a 2% shift can make a huge difference. Even just bringing awareness to this can start to shift things in our life and make a huge difference. So real confidence comes from this deeper place. It comes from a connection to self, first and foremost, versus something outside of me. It's a knowing that we already are enough just as we are. We already have everything we need right now, and we are incredibly powerful and we can trust ourselves. Now, this is not what we're taught. We are not conditioned to believe we have any power in the world. We're conditioned to believe the power is outside of us, in governments, in banks, in our boss. That is how we're all conditioned. So again, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's starting to bring awareness to actually, we have everything we ever wanted and needed within us. It's just about removing all of the layers of the onion to get to it. And this is actually the truth of who we are. And it's the same with all of us. Now, we can't intellectually access this because that's ego, and the ego is always going to try and sabotage. So we have to access this deeper place in another way. We're accessing this kind of higher part of our mind in another way. And again, I just want to reinforce this idea. It's not that we don't do training courses, educate ourselves, etc., but we do it from a different perspective. We do it from this place of I'm already enough, I'm already whole, I already have everything I need. And actually, when I do this training, when I do the voice coaching, when I do the degree, when I read that book, when I go on that workshop, it's actually about accessing more of ourselves. And it's actually then helping us to express more of our gifts and talents in the world. It's really about giving more of ourselves to the world versus coming from this place of lack and limitation, which is where I think a lot of people are trying to build this confidence from. I'm going to give you a couple of things to do. And the first one is essentially a kind of meditation, but it's something you can do quickly. It's something you can do when you've got a couple of minutes here and there. You don't need to sit for half an hour. You don't need to sit for an hour. If you can, that's great, but you can do this in the moment. Because the first stage with any of this is presence and awareness. And you probably heard that a lot out there, but it is actually, it sounds like a cliche, but it is so true. Because our power is only ever in the present moment. It's not in the future and it's not in the past. It's right now. This is where the power lies. So we have to tap into that part of ourself now. What we tend to do is we tend to abandon ourselves when things get uncomfortable emotionally or physically. And that could be through, you know, watching TV or going to the gym or working long hours, or it could be drinking. It could be taking painkillers. Like any way of numbing and avoiding our feelings and our body is what we all tend to do. And that's what we're conditioned to do. So this practice is really about bringing awareness back to our body in the present moment and feeling what we feel. And there's no right or wrong. The ego makes everything right or wrong. You know, you shouldn't feel this, but you should feel this. You shouldn't have this pain. And then all it does is it actually prolongs the pain, it prolongs the discomfort, because what we resist persists. But actually, when we bring awareness and compassion to where we are in the present moment, then that energy can just move. But it's our resistance to the pain, emotional, physical, that causes the emotional, physical pain to linger. So you can do this anytime, particularly if you do feel triggered. Take these deep breaths. I'm going to just take you through a very quick process that you can do. You don't have to close your eyes, but if you can close your eyes, that's great. Just because it helps you to kind of go inward. But if you, for whatever reason, need to keep your eyes open, keep your eyes open. So close your eyes if you can. And you can put your hand on your belly, your hand on your heart, if you can, or both hands on the belly. But some kind of presence to the body is useful as well if we're trying to connect to the body. And just start to take some deep belly breaths. Relax your shoulders and let the belly rise and fall. And just be present with whatever you feel. It could be anger, it could be fear, it could be anxiety, it could be sadness, it could be guilt, it could be shame, whatever you're feeling. Just allow that feeling to be there, remembering that what we resist persists. So when we bring awareness and compassion to it, it will move. It could equally be a physical pain. Maybe you've got back pain or shoulder pain or jaw pain or glute pain or any pain. So again, just breathe into that part of the body where you're feeling the pain. And the idea with this is really just to sit with it for about 10 breaths, if you can, 10 deep belly breaths, bringing awareness to whatever you're feeling. And then just bring some love and some compassion to what you're feeling and allow it to be there, because it really is our resistance to what we're feeling that keeps things stuck. And it goes against everything we're taught. Or that we're all taught. So that's the first stage. And you can do this whenever you're feeling things that are uncomfortable and your default is to want to run away, literally or metaphorically. Now, the next stage of this is then to start to build the trust in yourself, remembering that when we are not connected to ourselves, what we tend to do is abandon ourselves when things get tough. So this is the next stage of this. First of all, it's being present with what we feel. So we are really here for ourselves when the going gets tough. But the next stage is then to start to build some trust. Now, this is going to look different for different people, because what challenges me is not going to challenge you, and vice versa. But the idea is really to start to challenge how you react to things. So, for example, and start small, for example, if you're someone that finds it hard to speak up in a meeting, so maybe you really do struggle to express yourself, to express your opinions, your feelings, your thoughts in a meeting, and you always let everyone else speak or talk over you. The challenge would be, even in a very small way, to start to actually speak your truth, to actually speak up and say, I've got something to say, I want to share something. And just that slight shift, you're just starting to kind of open this up, this part of you up, and you're starting to actually say to yourself, yes, I can trust myself. Now, of course, it's going to bring things up for you, because there's a reason why you haven't done this in the past. So it might bring up fear, it might bring up anger, it might bring up anxiety, and then you just go back to stage one. But all of this is about being really present to yourself and owning your authentic self, owning your voice, owning what you really feel and think. And again, it's coming from a place of love and compassion. It's not about just screaming and shouting at people. It's coming from this place of connection to self first and foremost. So this is a bit of a deeper video. This is a big part of what I do, as well as the voice training, because I think it's so important. And then what happens when we do something like voice training is the training is so much more effective. When you do work on your voice, when you do start to train your voice, you'll find that it actually just, you make progress so much more quickly. You are able to actually access this more confident place to speak from, because it's coming from inside of you. It's not an external thing. You're not looking to voice training to make you feel confident. The voice training is just tools and techniques to actually help you get that instrument functioning to its best, versus giving you confidence, quote unquote. So I hope that this has really helped. If you have any questions below, I'd love to answer them. If this has piqued your interest and you would love to do deeper work on your voice and actually really start to tap into this deeper potential and this, what I would call this true self, which is why I call it a true confidence, this true self, this true confidence, then please do get in touch, because I would love to help you. But until my next video, I will see you then.